Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Nettie Owens with Sapari Solutions, and this is what businesses need to know right now. It's a continuation of interviews that we started at the beginning of the pandemic, and we're continuing. The folks that come on here have something to say about what you should know as a business that applies right in this particular time period. Today, I've brought Jill James of the Jill James to share with us what businesses need to know right now about strategic business planning, about business consulting, and getting operational support. So to tell you a little bit about Jill, she helps I'm going to read right here so I don't miss any juicy details. So if I look away, you know what I'm looking at. She helps self-funded business owners put a strategic operational strategy in place to make sure their financial decisions are set up to help them thrive without having to sell, take on partners, or spend years figuring everything out by themselves. And the cost savings for that, I'm sure, is tremendous. Transforming self-funded businesses into high-profit companies through strategic operational support. Welcome, Jill. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's just jump in here. Time management has just become a thing on everyone's minds as we're trying to balance working from home, managing our families, running our businesses. Any one of those things can be a time management, I don't want to say nightmare, but can require a lot of focus. So where should we be focusing our time right now?
Yeah, that's a great point. One of the exercises that I do with CEOs when we start is getting focused on what they love to do in the business. And our goal is to get them to spend 50 to 60% of their time on things they love to do. It's going to be different for everyone, but this exercise of thinking like where you're in your zone of genius and staying in there for as much time as is reasonable is really going to help you differentiate your business and also feel better about the time that you do need to spend on general operations things because you know you've allowed enough time to be creative, to get to your customers, to do the things you need to do.
I love that perspective because I often share something similar, but I love how you shared that you've committed yourself to, you've taken the time to fill your cup by doing the things that you're brilliant at, that you enjoy. And so when you do go to the operations side of it, it's not taking away from that. And you kind of have the energy from doing those, let's say, fun activities, right? Because they're the things that energize you first. I love that perspective. So, things have been starting to open up, which is great. But still, I feel some trepidation. There's the concern over India and what's happening there and, how that might impact the United States or Canada. So I still feel some hesitancy for folks. Is this an okay time to be growing a business? Is, I'm sure, certainly on folks' mind. And school is just wrapping up here in the States. And, do we do it now? Do we wait until school starts again? What's the best plan?
Sure. Well, I would take this in two parts. One is the folks that tell me I need to wait till school starts, I need to wait. There's always an I need to wait reason. So if you feel like there's always an I need to wait reason, it's time to pick something and start, even if it's small, because there will always be a reason that you can't do the big thing, right? There's something small that you can do that will get you into moving toward the bigger thing.
So do you have recommendations of some of those small things that help get you moving towards the big things?
Yes, and it kind of rolls into the second part of your question. I would always talk to your clients and customers. It's something that you can always do, especially as small businesses, self-funded businesses. It's one of our great differentiators to have great customer service. And in terms of thinking about where we can grow, having conversations regularly with the people that you work with, that's going to tell you directionally what they're interested in, the problems they need to solve, right? And what I've seen over the past 18 months is that for my clients who've continued to talk to their customers and say, what can I help you with now? Instead of saying, this is what I do.
Right.
What can I help you with now? That idea of being of service to the people that you work with, there is always an opportunity for growth because you're partners in solving problems together. So regardless of what's happening in the world, and that just creates problems to be solved,
right.
If you can be a partner in problem solving, you will always have growth opportunities.
It's so true. Probably one of the biggest things that I've heard over these many interviews has just been the foundational aspect of relationship building. And you're right, as a smaller business, relationship building happens directly with your customers, and you have a big hand in that customer service and how the experience flows for that particular person or business that you're working with. What a great reminder to tap into that as the small step that can always be happening. So thank you for that. All right, so big question here. Should and this kind of switches the direction of what we're talking about. You primarily work with self-funded businesses. So these are businesses that aren't necessarily going out to get loans or other investment to help them get off the ground or even move into a growth phase. And so in that, there's this question of, when you're growing, do you put the money back into the business or do you pay yourself? And in what ratios might you do those things?
Sure, that's a great question. So when I work with a self-funded business, the self-funded means that we're not going to give up equity for money. We might use loans or other things.
But thank you for that clarification, too, because I do think sometimes people hear that self-funded and don't understand the difference.
Yes. So it just means we're not giving up equity in the company in exchange for money. So when we think about a growth versus pay, I believe that business owners need to plan to pay themselves. It can be a conservative amount, but if you are not planning for paying yourself at the beginning, you don't build into the profitability that you need in order to have the right pricing, consider the right products, consider the right mix, right? Your unit economics will not be right unless you consider how much you need to get paid as well. So you're underpricing your business almost certainly if you are not including paying yourself. So you can ultimately make the choice of how to do that and what's the smart way to do that, but you need to plan from the beginning that you get paid something as the business owner, or else your economics are always going to be off.
Well, and I think something else happens too, which is psychological. At some point you start resenting your business because it's not giving back to you in the same way that you're putting into it. So there's that mindset aspect of it that needs to be addressed as well. So I do think it's a priority. Do you find that there's a recommended amount, or is that always going to be dependent on any particular person's needs and situation?
I think it's dependent per person. We are all different in their businesses. I'm a single mom. I don't have a choice but to pay myself what I need to pay myself. So it's very motivating to me to go find what I need to do in this business to be able to pay my bills. Other people might be in more of a situation where they are not the primary income in the household. Maybe there's more flexibility in how you get paid. But I do think having some minimum committed amount that you pay yourself every month gets you in the mindset of there is a payroll to be met. And as your business grows and you have to start to pay other people, it's not a big shift, right? That you've already had something that you have to pay out every month, you have to plan for. And it's a commitment to yourself. So I believe in paying yourself first. I know that's not how we normally think about it, but I think it's one of those things that when you are a self-funded business, you have to think first of how will you get paid, and then balance out the expenses and the other investments that you make.
I think that maybe it's not as common, but the shift, and certainly the shift that happens or that's recommended by a lot of pretty vocal voices in the business world, say pay yourself first. I know the book Profit First really emphasizes that, and then you figure out the rest from there. But if you can't pay yourself first, if you can't pay yourself, then there is that question of, is this a business or is that a hobby? And we certainly want you to be successful in business. So Jill, how can people get in touch with you?
Sure, they can go to my website, thejilljames.com. There's more information there, some videos. And if you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, you can do that right at the top.
Excellent. Thank you so much. If you have enjoyed this interview and you'd like to see more interviews in the What Businesses Need to Know Right Now series, just go to whatbusinessesneedtoknow.com. And wherever you're watching this, please do take a moment to comment. Let us know what you loved, what your takeaway was, and what you will apply going forward. Thank you so much, Jill.
Thanks, Nettie. Great to be here.